Um, okay. So, hi, everybody. Good afternoon. And today, welcome to our second immersion session, which is on Learn About Semester 1 courses. Today, we have a panel. Particularly, this session is for our MSc program in Counseling Psychology. And I'll request all of our students who are attending this session, if you can switch on your camera, if you can interact, that would be great. So, what will happen today is that each of us will walk you through the first semester courses that we are teaching in fall 2026, your first semester here. And we'll walk through the courses, what the course content looks like, but we'll do that briefly for 5 to 10 minutes, each of us. And at the end of it, Professor Purnima will talk a little bit about your internships and field work, which is specific to the PG program, that is MSc in Counseling Psychology. So that would be the structure of this session. And at the end, if you have any questions, you are feel free to ask. You can unmute yourself or type in the chat and we'll answer those questions. So let me start. I'm Dr. Manjushri Palit. I'm a professor and associate dean of Jindal School of Psychology and Counseling. I've been here in this university now. I'm counting its 12th year. Um, so it feels like a dinosaur. And with JSPC, I've been here for the past now 6 years. So in this fall 2026, I'm going to be teaching you two subjects, two courses, particularly one is Counseling Skills 1, and second is Counseling Practicum, Practicum 1. And what I'm going to do is share the slide. I don't have a slide, but I'll share a PDF document and I'll walk you through what the course entails. We'll talk about it briefly, but when you join the semester, we are going to have a more detailed conversation about, the course and what are the course requirements as well. So I'm going to start off with showing my first. Let me know if you can see.
Yes, we can see.
Okay. Thank you, Purnima. So the first course that we're going to talk about is Counseling Skills 1. I consider this as a very introductory, but at the same time, a very important course for the MSc program, particularly because in this 15 weeks of course, you are actually going to be introduced to some of the core constructs or the foundational principles and practices of counseling. In this particularly, you will walk through, it's like a journey which I feel that all counselors should go through. So it's a journey where you will not only review values, motivations, and cultural backgrounds, ethical principles that govern the profession of counseling, but you are also going to evaluate and reflect on how each of them have shaped you and how each of them will shape your therapeutic relationship and processes. So it has becomes really important to build this foundation because this foundation lays the ground for effective counseling. We are also going to talk about some of the core elements or common factors which are present across different counseling models, but across counselors who practice different counseling models. So therefore, we are going to look at those processes as well. We are also going to look at some of the core or basic micro skills that are needed in counseling practice, such as like attending, listening, questioning, paraphrasing, summarizing, reflecting. Now, it's not only important to just understand what these skills mean, but it is also important to understand what they can bring about in, or how they can help the counseling process, how they help our therapeutic journey. Along with it, we are also going to explore evidence-based practices or research that supports the use of such counseling or micro skills that support the common factors that are very core constructs of counseling as well. So, in short, we will look at all of these topics, but from a very evidence-based approach. At the same time, during this process of this course, you will engage in a lot of experiential learning, a lot of reflections that you will go through, and you will discuss those in the classroom. So that will call for very critical engagement, evaluating your own motivations to join the program, and think about how, our sociocultural background influences not only just the counseling therapeutic relationships that we build, but it would influence how we act as therapists, or how our therapeutic journey is going to be shaped by each of them. And in all of this, we will also learn to challenge ourselves. So we all come with some degree of flexibility and some degree of rigidity, or core constructs that we have as a core identities. So we are also going to challenge them, and we are also going to discuss this in our class. So in short, in these course, in this 15 weeks, you are going through a journey where you will evaluate the entire process, but that is just the foundation. So this will be just your preliminary understanding. Um, while doing this, while you are, in this fall semester, you will also review certain you will go through several tasks that you have to do as a part of this curriculum. And I'm just briefly showing this, but we will discuss them in detail in the class. One of the things that we would consider that would bring an enormous amount of learning that happens for a counselor is to talk to other counselors. So you will have certain, core reflective assignments that are such as like talking to a beginning therapist and understanding their motivations, their values, their particularly the counseling practices or challenges that they experience, the ethics that guide them. So, in short, what you would experience is that you will have a theoretical understanding, but you will connect it with what happens in practice. Now, this kind of merging will happen in our next course, that is, we are going to talk about Practicum 1. Now, Practicum 1 aligns very well with Counseling Skills 1, wherein you're learning about, the concepts of micro skills. While in Practicum, what you're going to do is to essentially practice this basic counseling skills. You're going to reflect on your attitudes, processes. You will demonstrate them in a structured manner in a therapeutic space. You will also reflect on, how you are engaging in this therapeutic space, how you're talking about ethics, how you're demonstrating ethics. Are you working from a very culturally sensitive lens, empowerment lens, diversity lens? So you will be trained in this, you will be supported through in-class demonstration. In addition, you will be working with the faculty you will be working with me in terms of understanding and reviewing these skill sets, but also practicing with your peers, but also practicing in the context of cases, how you would use these skill sets in order to engage in a therapeutic space with your client and also establish a working alliance. In this space in the duration of this course, you are also going to rely on many things in order to demonstrate your skills. One is a lot of discussions in the class. Second, There will be discussions regarding video demonstrations of therapy. You yourself will engage in role plays, case studies, presentations, where you will demonstrate those micro skills, the processes, and you will evaluate them. So, this course would very well support and complement the counseling skills one, where you are learning the skill set, but here you are actually demonstrating the skill set over a period of 15 weeks. This course actually has 2 credits, so there will be 2 hours of engagement every week, and you will be working with your peer group, your cohort, in demonstrating these skill set. In keeping in mind the requirements of these course, you will have many such activities. Like, I'll just give you a brief example. Like, you'll do a lot of role plays, you'll do video case analysis. I'll just show a bit of some of the things that you might do. Is a 15 to 20-minute role play where you are enacting a counseling session with a peer who is hypothetically your client. So all of these will help you demonstrate but practice your skill set. One of the things that I would say is that when, as a fresher, it sometimes feels very difficult to demonstrate these skills or, be conscious of acting. But role play becomes a very important foundation of practicum and becomes a really important foundation of learning how to practice therapy. So, as you walk into this new journey of your life and you join our program, this will be an important foundation of your, of your learning, the counseling practicum, practicum one course. I'll leave. If you have any questions, we can talk about them later. I am going to stop sharing and I'll request Professor Kanika to talk about the course that she's going to teach.
Thank you, Professor Madhushree. Hi, everyone. I know I can't see many of you, but hoping you're all there around listening to us. I am Kanika. My area of specialization is largely clinical psychology, but I mostly practice in area of community mental health. And I work with communities where access to mental health is low. They can't afford it because they don't have resources, or they may have resources, but we don't have that many mental health professionals around them to cater to them. So that's what largely my work area is around. I train people from all spheres of their career, starting from undergraduates, who want to learn basics in counseling skills and do first aid kind of work, to doctorates and postdoctorates who are doing more clinical and counseling related work. So that's me. Now coming to a course, I thought we do it slightly different, and a little more engaging way to understand what we're going to be looking at when we meet together. I have this QR code I'm going to share. I'm sharing on my screen is a QR code. I request everyone just to scan it and see if you're able to open the Microsoft Forms that follow. So may I request every of those students who have enrolled for a postgraduate course, if you can just try and scan this QR code, see if it's visible and open to you. And if any one of you can just give me a thumbs up to know it's working. Okay. So the moment you land up on the form, you will see 3 questions. It's small case vignettes about what's happening with the individual and the counselor, and options for you to select. I give you around 8 minutes to work through these scenarios and come up with responses. This is your first gut feeling, what we'd like to do. Don't worry, don't overthink about it, don't complicate. We will have classes to complicate everything. But this is right now just your first gut feeling. How will you respond if you were the counselor in that situation? Is everyone clear with the task? There's thumbs up emoji. You can use that to let me know you're clear with the task. Okay, I see 1 thumbs up at least. So that's promising. Few more coming on the way. Great. So it's anonymous form. I'm not tracking your name. I'm not evaluating you. I am just trying to let you know what we're going to encounter together. So please scan the QR code. I got one person to respond. So that's great. I'm waiting for a few more people to respond. It's very interesting pattern that's brewing on the background. I'm gonna show it and hopefully try and get the point I'm gonna try out. So please, if few more people can respond.
Kanika, is it anonymous?
It's anonymous.
Yeah. So I don't think any of us will have to worry about being judged. So
Yes,
just answer.
yes, judge answer. It's your first gut feeling. You're not being evaluated. You're not getting a trophy for performing good. You're not losing marks for performing, not that great. And trust me, some of them don't have any correct answers. It's a trick.
Quite interesting cases, Kanika.
I'm gonna scratch all of your brains soon. A couple of more entries. Good to see 7 people have responded so far. Visit of time. I know there's a whole session planned, so I am just gonna open what we are seeing. Let me see where we are. Let me stop share again. This share the wrong document. Um, here, here I go. Okay, so let's look at the first case. Again, we don't have a majority. We have two options coming up and almost equal weightage. So this is about a person who's in jail for a very brutal sexual assault, and you have been referred to them for counseling. As a counselor, you have views around, this person has committed a crime which is against a woman, has, assaulted to them. You have seen all harsh details, and that's really affecting how you're going with the sessions with them. While the sessions are coming, you're dreading, and in session, you feel a sort of repulse to them. Um, so I asked, what will you do as the counselor here? So we know few things which people don't want to do, which is like they don't want to continue working with him as like nothing has happened, because we know whatever I feel as a counselor has impact on me. And I know no one wants to tell this to their client. But some people have said they will refer him to someone else because they are biased and it's not a good thing to go on. And others have said they will discuss with supervisor before they take an action. Anyone want to say why they pick up one particular option than the other? Badishri, do you want to take the lead? Get the ball rolling?
Yeah,
Yeah.
sorry,
Yes.
somebody else picked up.
Yes,
No,
Aishwarya.
that's
Yeah,
okay.
go
I can be that's okay. I can be the next one. You can go first. That's fine.
Well, Aishwarya, you guys will be answering these questions. We have been answering these questions for a long time. So why not go ahead, take your lead.
Okay. I don't know. I didn't even give it a lot of thought, but the first thing which came up to my mind was pretty much straight up. I'm just gonna talk to my supervisor if I don't know what to do next. The second option was not even somewhere closer that I would even think about that, oh, I'll immediately just refer him or her to someone else. Because I feel like choosing counseling or like even being in this profession, I just feel like if it's this severe case and I don't have the option to actually talk to my supervisor or someone who I can report to, then maybe yes, I would think of that option that I can just refer my client to someone else. But I think, yeah, I just didn't think about it. Yeah, I think I would just talk to my supervisor and see how things go and what he or she has to say. And then if they tell me that, oh, it's good for you at this stage, or like if I'm very early in my career or I don't have that expertise, and if my supervisor says that it's better for you to just refer him or her, I think I would go with that option. I don't know if that makes sense, but I tried to explain what I was thinking.
Right. As I said, Aishwarya, there's no straight answer to this discussion. But if I can ask you, when you were imagining yourself in this situation and this client, what context you were thinking? You were thinking you are operating in India, which part of India, outside India, which settings? What were your, possibly a reflection?
Sorry, I didn't really get the question.
So if you were thinking, I am this counselor, where were you
Yeah.
thinking, imagining yourself, you're functioning in India, some other part of the world, in India,
Um,
which part of the country, which
I think
setting?
I think I'm imagining myself. Of course, I can't really imagine when I read the question, I can't really imagine myself 10 years down the line. I was imagining myself, let's say I graduate uni, which is
Right.
like in 2 years' time, and then I start practicing and I get a client like this, and I'm like, oh, this is very overwhelming. I'm sure I'll have like the internships and placements or other experiences with you guys, of course. But I'm just thinking like in 3 to 4 years, if it gets to the point that, oh, it's very intense or it's something I can't really handle, um, and I'm imagining myself in India for like next 3 to 4 years. Yes. So yeah, does that answer your question?
Yeah, you very well do.
Okay.
Um, I'll come and run, so those are great reflections, Ashwarya, your thought about it, what you can do first and what is the second one. That's a great way of thinking, and that's how you think ethically. So that's a great plan. Anyone else want to pitch it? What is the option you chose and why?
Well, then, Kanika, I'm going to talk about it because I think I agree with Aishwarya. Particularly if I assumed, contextually, if I am working in an organization and that organization takes in court mandated clients, and if I have a supervisor and there would be a liaison with the court as well. So the thing is that that structure would also be very important for my therapeutic space. Now, if I'm working and if I feel uncomfortable working with a client, um, the fact is that that's going to impact the counseling session, and recognizing it would be without making a conclusive decision. One should have but that should be also mentioned to the client that if you have a supervisor that you disclose, confidentiality is maintained. At the same time, having a supervisor with whom you discuss the cases should be something that should be mentioned with your client as well. So having said that, um, discussing with your supervisor would make more sense as to understand whether it is like a initial level of discomfort, because there are therapists who work with victims of violence, but also people who work with perpetrators as well. Okay, and they're comfortable working, and it depends upon that. The third factor, which is again, which goes back to what you contextually mentioned, where am I functioning? If I'm functioning in India and the person is currently Also, in the course of the case, if it comes out that the person is abusing a child, then in across the rules of the land apply. So under POCSO, you will have to report. But in this case, it is not mentioned. Okay. So, and there is a time period within which it has to be mentioned. All of these protocols are there. So one would keep those in mind as well. And as a counselor, whether it is a counselor, doctor, lawyer, a teacher, all of us are guided by the laws of the land, which protects children, minors particularly. And so such cases are to be reported if there is a current abuse. So with those thoughts.
Right. I was just thinking, now let's come to the contextual reality, Aishwarya and Manjushri, what you said. Think about there's a jail in Sonipat, which is there. In reality, it exists. And I am the psychologist, as Aishwarya said, couple down the lane. I graduated, I am now a psychologist. I am on their panel. They barely will have funds to support me. Then me finding a supervisor, I'm barely being peanuts. I have to pay my supervisor who charge not peanuts, peanut butter cost, where I will get a supervisor. And in this area, while university has caused a lot of development, but mental health professionals are very limited. So if I am uncomfortable, I am being paid very limited. I can't afford a supervisor. And if I don't see this person, who I'm going to refer to, they're barely paying me. So now that's where, our classrooms are about. While code of ethics, as Aishwarya and Professor Manjushri were talking about, will say, hey, discuss with your supervisor, see if it's an initial level of discomfort, try and work through your discomfort because it's not good to abandon at the first go, but try it. If it doesn't, refer to someone. But when I am working ethically in a context, decision making is far more complicated. There are a number of factors I am going to take into account, decide what is the best course of action. And sometimes, best course of action can be in the last one. Hey, listen, I am your only hope, but I am not okay with these things. Something about you is triggering me. I may not be able to help you with this aspect, but maybe I can offer you help for A and B only. Maybe to help you how to relax because you're feeling so overwhelmed. I can help you how to join a vocational training here so you can make some meaning out of life. That's all I can help you because ethically, I don't have the first to rely on back. So this is what our course on ethics in counseling is all about. I am less about theory, but more about, what does it mean to ethically practice? How codes of ethics look very nicely written 200-page document, but when it comes to, taking out and doing an action, things are far more complicated. What are things to keep in mind when I'm acting ethically? And what is there on the paper versus what works best in clients' welfare sometimes may not be the same thing. So how I still uphold my ethics, but also I am contextually and culturally sensitive in using those information to guide the welfare of my client and provide services which are best suited to their needs. So this is just one example to talk about, saying that how ethics, although we read it undergraduate, those 5 principle code of ethics, awesome, life seems sorted out. Life is never that sorted out. Things are far more, ethics is always this matter of taking those decisions continuously and holding those principles because you truly believe in it, not because someone is actually seeing him. So it's not just about because my license board has to see it, I'm doing it. But I'm also thinking about, what is good for me and my client both as I take those actions. So I wish I could go into all those 3 cases, but I also know there's shortage of time. But we hope that we have far more of these discussions when I see all of you in these classrooms talking about cases which are hypothetical to your real casework, to knowing, is it okay to sit in session or observe? Is it okay to join teleconference session just for a meeting? Is it like an ethical for me to learn in certain way and not learn in certain way? How I take use of AI when I am providing counseling session? Is AI allowed in counseling? How do I create space for that? So I'm hoping our course will create that space. It's truly a reflective course. It's a 2 credit course, which means I'm going to see you once a week. I will not be going into a lot of theory because I'm assuming that's done as part of your undergraduate study. But my hope is that we can create this space for reflection, thinking through, and thinking about how do I prepare myself for the real realities of the ground while I'm reflective and aware of the situations. So, any thoughts, follow-ups, queries?
If not now, I think we will take it at the end. Thank you, Professor Kanika, and for so wonderfully talking about the differences between lower and middle income countries' therapists and access to, the higher income countries as well. So that's wonderful. As we move on, I will request Professor Amanpreet Kaur to talk about the course that she is teaching.
Thank you, Manjushri. Thank you, Kanika, for introducing your courses. Hi, everyone. I'll keep it short. I'm Dr. Amanpreet Kaur. I'm an associate professor here, and I also take care of the Research and Events Committee in case in future you would want to be part of it. I'm also a practicing clinical psychologist, RCA registered. I'll be teaching approaches to psychotherapy to all of you. I'm happy to share the course manual very, very soon with all of you, since all of you will start studying. Right now, you can enjoy your vacation time before the work start. So just in brief, you have studied already, different schools of psychotherapy. We talk about Freud, Jung, Winnicott, Rogers, then Pavlov and Skinner and all these experiments you have studied, and you might have wondered that, oh, we've been studying all these theories and now we'll have to practice. Oh, and I need to help people. How am I going to integrate? So you will be learning, not only learning the theories, the objectives, what are the components of it, but also you'll be learning how to start applying it. When we talk about the real life cases, we will be making use of certain case minutes, or probably you can start sharing whatever cases you might have observed, let's say in your family or otherwise, and how to conceptualize a case. So in your semester one, you might just think that I just need to start doing the therapy. But it's majorly your foundational course where you will be learning in depth about the therapies, not just reading one paragraph, two paragraphs, or 2 pages about it, rather going in depth. So we would be covering psychoanalysis, psychodynamic, all right, humanistic, existential. We would also be covering CBT, behavioral, as well as the third generational CBTs. So this will comprise of your syllabus. And not only that, the purpose would also be to start applying it. Let's say if this is a case, how would we apply this particular theory with this particular case? And in what way, right? So one of your assignments is also going to be about case conceptualization, which you will be reading in your manual, and I'll help you through it. So don't have to worry about it. But what I can suggest you to do is, meanwhile, since you have some time, before you start formally, please do, just read a bit about it. Let's say, what were the defense mechanisms when we talk about Freud? What were the, different theories, basic theories? What exactly Jung talked about? What was collective unconscious? What were the schemas, let's say? And in CBT, what was that triad we talk about? So basic things, I would want all of you to just read about it once so that we have a foundation to build upon, right? And maybe, my practice, what I've been practicing since years, that can also help, all of us in terms of in our discussion, how to go about it, how to conceptualize a case. So the point is here, the faculty is ready to share everything with you, but you'll have to do your own work also. That's why I'm just requesting you, rather than just going through the course manual, which you can all do, what would be required and what could be helpful. Thank you so much, Manjushri. I'm happy to take in any questions if there are.
Thank you, Professor Manpreet. We'll wait at the end. If you have any questions, please note it down. You can always write it in the chat or unmute yourself and ask, because that's what you are going to do in the classrooms. You will engage, converse, and think of more questions to ask. Now we'll move on and I'll request Professor Deepali to talk about the course that she's going to teach.
Thank you, Professor Manjushri. Thank you, everyone, for introducing the courses. And yes, welcome to all the students. I'm sure you guys are excited to join your master's journey at OP Jindal Global University. We are all looking forward to, teaching you, bringing a lot of stuff from our experiences, etc. I am Dipali. I am an associate professor at Jindal School of Psychology and Counseling. I'm also a founder director of a research center called Center for Neurodiversity Studies, which is coming from my interest in neurodiversity and my experiences of working with neurodivergent population since last 15 years almost. I will be teaching you a course which is human development across the lifespan. And before you all must have studied a course on developmental psychology in your undergrad. And from your experiences there, maybe you took interest in one specific life stage. When I talk to different people, we are all interested. Some of us are interested in the elderly, some of us are more interested in, younger population, some of us are interested in children. So it's very important to understand development through the trajectory, through the lifespan, because as counselors, you will be experiencing and talking to people of different age groups. Uh, like I said, I'm sure you all have studied a course in developmental psychology, must have covered, a lot of theories, understood cognitive development, understood socio-emotional development, and all of that. What this course aims to do is to take one step ahead, of understanding these theories and really understanding how all of this applies to my practice, my counseling skills, and understanding people's lives. Because if we really think about it, our lives are really shaped by the experiences that we have throughout the life. So not just treating it as history, but also understanding how that helps me conceptualize the framework of what I'm going to be doing. uh, so what we will do through 15 weeks, this is a 4 credit course. So we will be meeting about 4 hours every week. And what we will try and do is not just, so of course the course will reintroduce or introduce you to all the important developmental theories across the lifespan. So starting from what happens prenatally to, how do we experience, adolescence, then adulthood, as well as the end of life. So we will be talking about a lot of theories that help us understand cognitive, socio-emotional development across the lifespan. We will be taking sort of like a normative approach to understanding what happens, and for a typically developing individual, and what does that mean. But at the same time, we will also sort of take a diversity lens and see, what if things are not typical, what happens when things are not typical, and how can that be different. We will also be, through discussing all of this and applying the knowledge that we have to real life experiences. We will look at the intersectionality of, culture, gender, caste. How does that play a role in my developmental trajectory? And the most important thing that we will learn through this is really to apply some of this understanding that we will have directly into formulating, and understanding experiences of my clients. And Of course, at Jindal, we take a very, we have a, we will focus a lot on research and look at what does research literature say about all of this, and what can I learn from them and apply to the Indian settings. Uh, yeah, we will be discussing a lot of sensitive topics, and I think that applies to all the courses that we are talking about here. So, at Jindal, again, in our classrooms will be a safe space where we will be respectful of everybody's opinions and discussions. Um, yeah, I mean, this is just briefly about what the course is. We will do like an in-depth introduction of what the assessments look like, and what will the structure of the 15 weeks look like. But most importantly, I'm really excited to be taking this journey with all of you, and understanding the development and learning the developmental trajectory when we are in classes together.
Thank you, Professor Dipali. Again, if you have any questions, keep them ready so that we can address these questions at the end. I will now request Professor Kriti Gupta to talk about another important course that you're going to learn in this first semester. Professor Kriti, can you hear us? You have to unmute.
Hello, am I audible now?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So thank you so much, Professor Manjushri, and a very good evening to all of you. So, as we can see the kind of course I'm going to teach from the smile of Professor Manjushri, because I will be teaching the course Quantitative Research Methodology in Counseling Research. And I am sure that most of you are, the fan of this course because it includes statistics. So yeah, so I'm going to teach that course. So as quantitative research methodology, so basically in this course we will try to understand or to bridge the gap between scientific inquiry and evidence informed practice. So basically in this course we will learn how we can use quantitative research in counseling psychology, or as a practitioner how we can utilize this information related to quantitative research. So in this course, as its name suggests, that here we are going to talk about what are the principles and what are the techniques of quantitative research methodology. So yes, we are going to talk about the data collection and data analysis. So yes, so this is the basic overview of the course which I'm going to teach. So before so yes, so during the class we will be discussing all the principles, all the techniques. But yes, since this is a statistics based course, so I would request you all, so at least during this break before formally starting our course, I would request you to at least revise whatever you have learned during your undergrads. Okay, so that revision will help you to understand whatever we are going to practice in the classroom. So that's it from my side, because I just want to keep it like the kind of what do you say, the suspense around this course, so that you'll be more excited for it. So yes, this is all we are going to do during the semester, and we will be learning this quantitative research. So that's all from my side. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Professor Kriti. Like I said, we talked about the courses that you are going to take in the first semester. These are all your core courses. The next person is Professor Purnima, who's going to talk about internship and field work, although you may not engage in field work during the semester, but it is very important for you to understand. And all of the courses that you are taking in the first semester will create the ground for your work and your level of knowledge that you're going to take to your internships and to field work. So having said that, I am also thankful that Professor Purnima could take the time off, take the time out to join us and give you an insight about the field work and the internships. So over to Professor Purnima. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Manjushri, and thank you so much, everybody else, for introducing your courses. I'm Purnima. I'm an assistant professor at JSPC, and I'm also the assistant academic dean for the postgraduate program. And I'm really happy to be here today, to kind of welcome our second cohort of MSc students. I'm going to tell you a little bit about the practical components of the courses. And I think everybody else who's talked about their courses so far have really given me a good foundation to start from. Before I begin, I'm going to ask you, show of hands, how many of you are excited about the practical components of the counseling psychology course? Okay, not bad. We have a few. How many of you are anxious about practicing counseling or learning to practice counseling? No one. Wow. I would be very anxious
Yeah, I was
to
going to
kind of
say,
start
Eva, maybe we
themselves
are
out there.
ancient products. So
Yeah,
actually,
we
we're excited.
Yeah. Okay, great. I still see a couple of you raising your hands, which is a relief. All right, I'm just gonna take a moment to share my screen. Um, Let me know if you can see my screen.
yes, we can see your screen.
All right, great. Um, Okay, so I'm gonna start with telling you a little bit about what your training journey is going to look like. So we've heard about a few things already. Professor Manjushri spoke about the counseling skills practicum, and the counseling skills practicum is what you will be doing in semester 1 and semester 2, where you will be doing in-class simulations of counseling and counseling skills. You may be doing various role plays, analyzing videos, recording your own videos. Basically, it will be a course that kind of helps you to develop skills as a counseling trainee and thereby prepare you for the field work and internships moving forward. Along with this, you will also have your ethics and reflective practice. Again, Professor Kanika has spoken about ethics, and it's not going to be too much of a theory based course, hence making it practical, where you'll be looking at actual scenarios and how to navigate them in the counseling setting. I'll tell you about reflective practice as we move forward. Then you have your fieldwork placement. So, when you're prepared with your counseling skills, some basic skills and some advanced skills, you actually go into the field to practice some of these skills and also support clients who may not have access to counseling. So, this will be done through your fieldwork placement, where you will be practicing counseling with supervision of a faculty member. And then, of course, you have your internships, which you will be doing at the end of the first 3 semesters. So, the end of fall semester and the end of next semester, which is spring, and then the end of the next fall semester. So, each of the components of the practice will build on the previous component. And I'm happy that Professor Manjushri also asked me to talk about the fieldwork because while you may not be doing all of this in the current semester, I think it's very important that you keep this in mind as to how your practicum experience is going to look like so that you can kind of prepare yourself with each of these courses, because each of your first semester courses are going to be very, very important as you move forward in your practical training. So this is practicum 1 and 2. Professor Manjushri has already given a detailed orientation of semester 1 practicum. So both these semesters happen before you see real clients in your fieldwork. So you'll have skills practice. In practicum 1, you'll be practicing a lot of foundational skills required for counseling. And perhaps as you move on to practicum 2, you'll also be looking at how you begin a session, how you use your skills in middle sessions, and how you will terminate sessions. So all of what you've used in semester 1, but also building more advanced skills in semester 2. Moving forward, this is I'm very excited to talk about this because it's a very special part of the training curriculum that we've developed for you in JSPC. So in semester 2, along with your counseling practicum 2, you have a course called Readiness for Practice Fieldwork. So that it's not like we are pushing you to the deep end, but that you have some good orientation of how field work can really look. Of course, all of us are very anxious when in the beginning of field work, but so that you don't have to be too anxious, we've put together a course for you just to prep you for this. So you have your orientation to your fieldwork settings. You'll also look at how to maintain professional conduct, document, make notes, keep records. We'll also give you an idea of what supervision will look like when you're doing your field work. And of course, when we see clients, sometimes the work can be emotionally demanding. So how do we really navigate that moving forward? So that's your semester 2. In your semester 3 or 4, you'll have a fieldwork placement. So there are 2 fieldwork settings where you'll be placed in. One is the school setting and the other is the telecounseling setting. And these will be rotated. So for example, if you are in the school setting in semester 3, in semester 4, you will be in the telecounseling setting. So in the school setting, what you'll do is you'll be working with children or adolescents who may experience different kinds of concerns such as adjustment difficulty, peer level difficulties, difficulties in education, academic difficulties, etc. And you'll be doing one-to-one sessions with them. So that's one. You may also do social emotional learning sessions where you'll be working with younger children in their kindergarten, first, second grade, etc., where you may look at developing emotional regulation, you may look at developing resilience, etc., where you'll be working with small groups of children and maybe with a couple of your peers as well. When it comes to telecounseling, we have a psychology laboratory in JSPC in JGU. So here you'll be doing online pro bono sessions for clients. So these will primarily be online sessions that you'll be doing with a web camera and a mic. With clients who are not in JGU, but clients who may be outside. So you meet them online for supervision. So this is what your telecounseling will look like. These are a couple of pictures from our previous semester's fieldwork, all shared with consent. So if you see the first 2 pictures, this is a picture of our psychology lab, and this is where you will be carrying out your online counseling sessions, telecounseling sessions. The next 3 pictures are from the school fieldwork setting. These are specifically, of course, not from individual counseling sessions, but these are group sessions that our students did with very young children. In the previous semester, we also had a community setting. So you can see some of our students moving into the community space and working with old age homes as well. So what your semester 3 and 4 will look like is you go for field work once in a week, and then you have your practicum class where you'll receive supervision, where you'll talk about work with your client and how it's going in terms of your interventions. And then the supervisor will kind of facilitate how to think about the interventions, what may be helpful, what's not working, what's working right now. And there is another class called Reflective Practice and Self-Care, where you'll also be thinking about what's happening for you emotionally and personally while you're working with clients, what we call the self of the therapist, because we can't keep ourselves separate from how we work with our clients, what's coming up for us, our own personal experiences, our own past experiences, our biases may become very alive in the room. So we then think about, along with our supervisor and our peers, on what's coming up and how to navigate some of these. Finally, you have your internship. So internships, you do 3 internships, and each of these 3 internships are for 4 non-academic credits. So which means you'll receive a total of 12 non-academic credits. Now, all of these 3 internships are required to be completed during the designated breaks for you to be able to graduate. So each internship is for 100 hours and it has to be for a minimum of 4 weeks. So each of your breaks will be for around 2 months. So at least 1 month you have to be engaged in your internship and complete 100 hours. Of course, you can choose to do more hours or more weeks as per your comfort and your requirement. Now, I'm not going to go into too many details because in the next meeting as well, they'll be talking about it, but just giving you an idea of what it may look like as you move forward. So, in your internship one, which is end of semester one, you would have learned core micro skills, what interviewing will look like, what initial case conceptualization will look like. So, what we hope you'll be able to gain in your first internship is being able to observe sessions, assist with some intake sessions, support some psychoeducation and group activities. In your internship two, end of semester two. So in your semester two, you're learning slightly more advanced skills, CBT, narrative approaches, psychopathology, case documentation, etc. So we are hoping that in your internship two, you may be able to participate in some parts of sessions. So brief interventions, relaxation, behavioral techniques, CBT, etc. And also to assist in maintaining notes, records, documentation, etc. In your internship three, end of semester three, you would have learned more nuanced formulation, relational dynamics, what's happening in the relationship with the client, how you use your professional judgment. So we're hoping that in internship three, you're able to conduct sessions under supervision, gain greater responsibility, assume greater responsibility, and assist with formulation and intervention planning. Now, this may seem like a lot at this point, and when you actually go into the field, it may look a little different because we have to look at ethical aspects when you're practicing in your internships. How much is okay to observe? How much is not okay to observe? Is it okay as per the organization to sit in during sessions, or would they prefer to have more discussions around case conceptualizations, intervention planning, etc.? Those are things that you can figure out at a later point. Now, your internships can be facilitated, are facilitated by the Office of Career Services, where we have partnerships with some organizations, and you can choose from that if it meets your requirement and if it is located in a region where you can intern in. You can also take up self-identified internships, but get it vetted by the Office of Career Services. So that's a little bit. So we've looked at counseling skills practicum 1 and 2, supervised practicum plus fieldwork, internships 1, 2, and 3, and reflective practice and self-care. So this is how your practical experience will look like. Now, I know that this is a lot to process. I mean, just talking about it made me feel like, this is a lot to remember and talk about, but you don't have to remember all of this right now. As we go along, we are going to keep telling you a lot of different things, and you have all the time across semesters 1 and 2 to understand and remember this. So this is just to really give you an idea of how the course is really rooted in a lot of practical experience, and how it prepares you for practice as you move forward after this course. That's it from me. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Purnima, for such a comprehensive understanding. I think as you have heard a lot of information, I hope you were able to catch a few. If you have more questions, you can ask right now, but also throughout when, in the next session as well, you can ask questions. There will be a panel. On 9th of July, we have immersion talk, and the focus of that talk would be internships, international collaboration, and community outreach. So you can continue to ask these questions right now. If you have any questions for all of us, please feel free to ask. You can unmute yourself, switch on your video, and ask questions, or you can write it on the chat as well. While you're thinking, I just want to actually ask you a question, and I'm inspired by what Kanika had shown and what Purnima has mentioned, that how many of you, I'm talking about students who are attending here, the talk, do you think that you are going to mature? I mean, I would rather say maybe nurture yourself? How many of you are seeing master's program as a way to nurture yourself and grow as a professional? Arshia, thank you. Lavanya, Hetvi. I hope I have said your name correctly, Hetvi. Asita, Ashwarya,
It's Hetvi.
Hetvi. Thank you.
No worries.
Okay, Jay and Neeti. Thank you. Actually, the thing that reminded me is that, with a lot of love and care, the program and the curriculum have been designed so that you intentionally progress from being a beginner to a more advanced level thinker and practitioner. So that by the time you graduate, you don't feel like, oh, I know nothing and I have to practice. So the point is that as a counselor, we all will continue to grow and will grow till we die. So that learning process will continue. Having said that, but with a degree such as these, the ultimate goal is to create a very informed professional, dynamic, culturally and contextually sensitive and ethically aware, and also with a keen understanding that you're functioning in a low and middle income country. So, and with those resources that you were going to practice. So now with that statement, I'm also opening this up for more questions. If you have any questions for any particular course, please feel free to ask.
Sorry, I've got a question. So I was wondering, it's so much information, and thanks so much for explaining everything in detail. I'm very excited to get started. But I was just wondering, I got to know so much about the practical side of this degree, and I know it's a counseling degree. Of course, you'll become a counselor once you graduate. But I was just wondering if there's more to do with the research, like how are the assignments like? How is the exam like? I know someone said, I don't really exactly remember the name who said, but someone did say that we are gonna look at the CBT, or I don't know, there was something, and she mentioned that we're gonna look at the research with it, but it was nothing to do with like us practicing research or us. I don't know how to explain, but like, do you get what I mean? Like in the assignments, actually knowing how to do the research and how to actually write an essay or something. Because I remember in the first session, there was more to do with research. I don't know if it was just with the bachelor's degree, but with the master's, after listening to all you guys said, it just feels like it's more practical. You're going to be a good counselor. It's so much exposure to how to practice. It's so much exposure to doing internships and placements, which is a very good thing. And that's what I am looking forward to it. But at the same time, I'm also very confused that what if I want to go into research? I know you have to do a research by the end of second year, but how is that? Like, how are the units designed in the first year for us to prepare so that we can do our own research, if that makes sense?
Thank you, Ashwarya. Good question. I think I will answer a part of it, but I'll invite Professor Purnima, Professor Kriti, and also Professor Amanpreet and Professor Kanika and Professor Dipali to also reflect on this. So the program, the Masters in Counseling Psychology, is a scientist practitioner model. That means it comes with helping you understand and nurture the skills of not only how to practice and learn counseling, but also to understand the empirical and scientific evidence that supports practitioner-based models. So that means it will prepare you for both clinical practice, but also for empirical research. So both are a part of your degree program. So having said that, the first program itself, the first course in the first semester, you are introduced to quantitative research methods. You will subsequently also have qualitative research methods, mixed methods as well. And I will let Professor Purnima also explain that you have the option of dissertation and capstone project as well, which is based on people's interest. Purnima, would you like to?
Yeah. Thanks, Manjushri, and thanks, Aishwarya, for that question. Honestly, you're going to be surprised with how much research you will be doing in your course. Because as much as your, course kind of helps you to develop, into a professional and ethical counselor, it's we also feel that being a researcher is an important part of being a counselor in the field as well. So, like Professor Manjushri already mentioned, if you're looking at pure research-based courses, in the first semester we have quantitative research methods where you will learn, how to really empirically study different topics when it comes to counseling psychology. And I'll let Professor Kriti talk about this, but then you'll also have assignments where you'll be designing your research studies and conducting a few research studies as well, smaller projects. And again, in your semester 2, you have your qualitative research methods. As you have two pathways that you can choose from when you go into your second year. So one is the dissertation pathway, where you will be collecting what is called primary data, where you will have participants and then you kind of either do, say, interviews, surveys, focus group discussions with them, and then you build on that to come to some findings and conclusions. You can also choose to do a capstone where you don't collect primary data, but you look at existing literature in the field and you develop a counseling protocol. For example, say developing emotional regulation for adolescents in the Sonipat community, and you develop a framework for that based on a topic of your interest related to counseling psychology. Apart from all of this, students also a lot of students take up research projects with faculty who share similar interests as them. So you can be part of a research center and contribute to research for that center. You can also work with certain faculty who you feel can really support you in the research process and have similar interests. So there's no dearth for the kind of research opportunities that you have. But yeah, anybody else, Professor Kriti or anyone else would like to add anything?
Yeah, so so basically, thank you so much, Aishwarya, for asking this interesting question, and thank you so much, Professor Manjushri and Professor Purnima, because they have covered most of the part whenever we are talking about research. So here I will be because whenever we talk about doing research, so the first thought comes that how we decide whatever we are going to do. So to answer your question, in this course we are going to cover this aspect. How we know whatever we know. So, so in this course, in my course, which I'm going to teach, that is quantitative research methodology, here you will learn, how to convert your interest in a systematic study. Okay, so for example, if you say that, how, for example, I'm just like taking a very basic example, how to become a good researcher, that is also a question, right? So what are the things, what are the things which you can do so that, in certain point of time you will become a good counselor? Okay, so that is also a research question. Okay, so how to convert this interest, are very much interested to how to become a good counselor, but you want to understand the method, the process of this thing. So in this course we are going to talk about, so by talking about the basic philosophy behind quantitative research methodology, or what are the design, what are, how to choose people, how to select people, and how to decide this is the appropriate method to understand my research topic, to select a research topic, and then how to understand and what are the things I can do so that I can answer this question. So these are the things we are going to cover in this course. So yeah, so that is the research we are talking about here. Okay, I hope I answered your question, Aishwarya.
Yeah, thank you so much. It was such a good explanation from all three of you. It made so much sense. But thanks so much for clarifying my doubt.
Thank you. Anybody else would like to add something?
Can I add something, Madhushree?
Yeah, sure. Please,
Uh,
Professor.
to Aishwarya directly. So Aishwarya, your what ifs, there would be many, many what ifs going ahead. We also had it when we were studying. But I'm pretty sure first thing is very clear that you want to be a clinician, and that's why you've chosen this course. So major aspect is that. Second thing, yes, we're going to give you the foundation as Professor Kriti has already talked about it for how to go about doing a research. Now, third, whether or not you want to do the research, you have all the faculties present with you. You will have n number of opportunities with you. It would be up to you to decide whether or not you can take out some time and work on your um, research interest. So nobody would be picking you out and saying that, hey, you need to do the research. And I think Professor Purnama would have mentioned, if not, they would be mentioning it very soon. In your final year, there would be two options given to you. It's not that everybody has to do research. There are certain people who are good clinicians, there are certain people who are good researchers, and there are some people who are good clinicians as well as researchers. So that's a process, and through that time, you'll get to know about yourself also. So yeah, so what ifs we'll get to know. What is the answer for your what ifs? Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Manpreet. Is there any other question? No more questions? Anybody wants to write it down? Okay, there is. I think there are two comments. Professor Amanpreet has given an understanding, a course description about approaches to psychotherapy, and Yamini has responded to my query, but there is no question that has been posed. If you don't have any questions, any thoughts, reflections, you can share that as well. Okay, I don't see any more. If not, so thank you for attending this, particularly this immersion program. We have a third topic that we are going to take up on 9th of July.
There's
And
a question.
there's a question?
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
It's on the chat, Manjushri.
Okay, is the course registered with RCI? Just making sure. Purnima, you want to take it?
Sure. So, currently, we have RCI registration only for clinical psychology courses in India, and this is a master's in counseling psychology course, so it cannot be registered with RCI. So the course is not registered with RCI. If anyone else would like to add.
Yeah, I would like to add that no counseling psychology courses in India are RCI registered. So in future, if there is a registration that would be specifically for counseling psychology, then in that regard, our course has the degree program has the potential to qualify, because you are getting everything that a counseling psychology program should have, but you are also getting more in terms of the field work mandate. You are also getting research experiences. And so therefore, like it is mentioned in the course, you will be trained in a scientist practitioner model. So you are equally capable of doing research, you are equally capable of being a clinician, and you can also be both. And if you want to pursue PhD in the future, this will also be an opportunity for you to pursue. Once you complete your master's degree, you could apply to any PhD programs and you have an equal chance like others. Yes, Professor Manpreet.
Just to add, I think this is a question which most of the students keep asking because of, I think, the current confusions regarding the transitions and the changes. One thing is very important for everybody to know is that, just to add what Professor Manjushri and Professor Purnima has already said, if somebody says also or advertises also that this is a RCI approved course, sure, that doesn't automatically give you a license. Okay, so even if a course is RCI, so majorly you will find masters in rehabilitation or a different M clinical psych. That's a very different nomenclature which they've been using for MPhil. Earlier it was for MPhil. Now they say M clinical psych. That is something which anybody can go for. And when we talk about RCI licensed counseling, there are two courses they offer, by the way, the RCI, if somebody is specifically interested in that. One is for child guidance and one is for rehabilitation counselor. And those are, I think 6-month and 1-year diploma courses, which are advanced diploma courses, and that can probably give somebody an RCI. But if you want to practice as a counselor, you don't really need to have that right now in India. Right? So, and masters will also give you, let's say somebody decides to go for their research, PhD, that can also be done. They want to start practicing as a clinician, that can also be done. So things are very, very different right now in this current scenario for clinical psychology, for counseling psychology. I hope that helped.
Thank you, Professor Manpreet. Is there any other question? Okay. So thank you, everybody. My heartfelt thanks to the panel and the lovely JSPC faculty members who took out their time to talk to our students. And thank you, freshers, for joining, taking out valuable time from your day to actually talk about the course that you are joining very soon. And once again, we'll meet on 9th July again to talk more about the program and your internship, community outreach, and student mobility programs. So see you then. And one more, I would like to say thanks to Mr. Zaid, Mohammad Zaid here, who's here. He's our lifeline in JSPC. Please get to know him because he will help you with any kind of academic or administrative issues. If you have any, please reach out to him. Okay. Thank you, everybody, and have a good evening.
We should leave now, right?
Yeah. Thanks, Kanika.
Welcome. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. How's your daughter?
She is like, she just started with a school. Today was her first day. So she's a bit
Okay.
everywhere on the earth. And I had 2 back-to-back meetings. So I messed up timing. I thought I was at 4:30. So I had another project meeting. So she's without any attention for last 2 hours. So she is very irritated.
Oh,
Okay.
all the best, my dear. Take
Take
care.
care. Bye.
Bye.